What's going on, everybody? What's going on? I know it's kind of late, but roll with me. I know it's a little late, but it's been a long day. Ashley had to take a nap today. You know, when you get older, you get in your 40s, you kind of, life hits a little different. Um, Sometimes what you do all week catches up to you at the end of the week. But we here, talk about some sports topics that I seen, wanted to talk about. Not gonna probably gonna be too long today. Just probably like 5 topics, something like that. I think what one, two, three, about 5 topics. So the first topic is 49ers receiver Ricky Pearsall being shot after an attempted robbery. I think he was doing an autograph signing. Somebody ran up to him, tried to strong arm him out his watch. I think that's kind of what the reports are saying. He didn't want to give up the watch. They got into a scuffle. The guy pulled out a gun. Gun went off, shot him in the chest, went out his neck. Very fortunate, very blessed not to have lost his life. Very fortunate, very blessed. I think he got released from the hospital. He's in a stable condition. Glad everything worked out for him. But one of the things when you become public or when your everything that you do becomes public, you don't have any privacy anymore, is you have to have awareness of your surroundings. I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm just using this as a learning point, as a learning talking point to get people to understand that us regular people, we still have to be aware as well, but not as much as professional athletes, people who making millions and is public, so and so signed a contract for X amount of millions of dollars. Um and you become food, man. I mean, you literally become food on the menu if somebody can get to you. It's like that secret menu at a restaurant nobody knows about. You kind of got to ask about it. So the person who probably did that, I don't know if it was random or did he just got the drop on he was gonna be there. But from the other side is the sports person, the receiver. Receivers are not as big, not all of them anyway. So I say about 70% of wide receivers are not as big as the premier receivers are like a Julio Jones or and even a lot of those guys they're more probably tall than they are like really bulked up like D linemen, offensive linemen, linebackers, a little bit more bulked up. A lot of dudes probably not gonna run up on them, especially without a gun, and they probably not gonna run up on them. Receivers, sometimes the streets can view you as food because you're not that big. You out here shining. You got all the jury on. And I get the jury. It's part of the marketing. It's part of the lure to get people to come out to these signings and, the pictures and the gram and stuff like that. But when you're in these areas and these people are not on that level as an average as far as the community, you stand out like a sore thumb. I mean, you literally stand out. And you have to understand that you have to move different, whether you got to have security. Um, I don't even think you can conceal carry in California. I think it's really hard to get a concealed carry license, but even then, you don't want the legal problems that come with having to use it if you have to. I understand you got to use it to survive, but after that, you have to go into a DA's office or you have to have a legal team. All that costs money. But very fortunate that he survived. But you got to have the awareness.
Allow nothing to be in your life that you cannot walk out on.
Sometimes you got to spot the heat.
If you spot the heat around the corner.
You got to spot the heat. You got to know where you at. I know for when I was younger, I used to have a car with rims on it. It was like a 2000. won Monte Carlo or something, like 20s. I think right before 20s went out of style, but I had some 20s. I think I was, 19, something like that, or 20, somewhere in there. But I always had to be aware of where I was going. I had to be aware of where I was at. I had to be aware of what was going on around me. Even in the midst of hanging out, even in the midst of talking to my friends or people I grew up with, I had to be aware of what was going on. My antennas always had to be on. I'm not gonna say it make you crazy, but it definitely makes you just understand the awareness of what's going on around you, even though you're not paranoid. You're just trying to be as smart as you can. Cause paranoia, you always doing this. Awareness, you kind of paying attention to what's going on around you. And if you ever get too comfortable, you really got to start moving around. It's like I'm getting too comfortable. I got to start moving. Cause there was a times where when I was younger, we used to go to this place called Nightlife. If you're from Southwest, you know what I'm talking about. Over there where they off University, and instead of going in the club, we would just sit outside in the parking lot, hang out in the parking lot. Well, what happened was if you stayed in one spot too long, you could potentially get robbed. I mean, that's just kind of what it is. What it is, you can literally get robbed. Somebody could take your car from you and leave you stranded. It is what it is. Put a gun on you. Luckily, fortunately, I was blessed enough to not have that happen to me. But I know some people that happened to them. Um, I always kind of kept my head on the swivel. I never stayed in one spot too long. You just gotta know how to move when you in places. You don't stay in one spot too long. Um, kind of have yourself in a place where you can get out if it go down. You got to be able to get out. You got to be able to leave. Somebody get to shooting. What's your exit? Soon as you put your car in park, you need to be thinking about, well, how do I get out of this? If a jam happened, how do I get out of this? Do I back up? Do I leave? You got to think about all of those things in succession with you trying to hang out and kick it with your boys and stuff like that. Awareness. So with that being said, move on to the next topic. It's been floating around the news a lot after that Colorado game. And people are saying, can Travis Hunter play both sides in the NFL? And I don't know if people know about Travis, but let me tell you.
That boy is good.
Good and terrible.
That boy good. This dude he a rare kind of player, man. He kind of, like I say, Charles Woodson, Champ Bailey, even Primetime or Dion play both sides of the ball, but in the pros, very tough to do. Very tough. You got to pick a side. It seems like right now, wide receivers are getting the most money outside of quarterbacks. It's really hard to get that money longevity as a corner, especially with one team. But it seems like a receiver, I think Justin Jefferson got like 35 a year, something like that. I don't know the exact number, but I think Jeremy Lamb got like 33. So you have to make a choice which ones you want to do, a receiver or corner. Because what makes it tough is, what if you're playing defense and your D-line is not dominant and y'all on a long drive trying to defend this team, and then they end up scoring, or you get the ball back, but y'all had like a 25, 13-play drive or 17-play drive, and you're playing against a premier receiver. Can you play offense after the kickoff? Do you have enough juice? And that's going to be the problem. Like, can he overcome that? I don't think an NFL team probably would let him play both ways, because not only would they not let him do it, his value would be like super. The increased value will be there. And I don't think they want to go down that road, because now How do you pay somebody that can play both sides of the ball full time? Like, how do you compensate that? That's a lot to try to quantify and think about. So I think to keep it simple, they'll probably try to tell them, man, what's your best asset? Maybe play receiver and play corner sparingly. This depends on, what he want to do. But I think from an ownership standpoint, when you have a guy like that, you want to protect your asset, and you will probably try to find which side of the ball where he most gives your team the best asset. And this just depends on your team needs. But with that being said, let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think he can play both sides of the ball in the NFL, or you think this is just a college thing? Because I don't think nobody's ever done it full time on both sides. It's a lot to do for one person. Knowing when to make adjustments in life. One thing I like about sports is knowing and watching coaches who make those adjustments after halftime. Sometimes even during the game. But it's still based on your personnel and being able to know when to make the adjustment when something's not working, to make that adjustment and say, okay, we need to, instead of running 2 wide, maybe we need to go to 3 wide to kind of give their defense another wrinkle to think about. A move, split the tight end out instead of having them in with the offensive line. In life, especially as minority men, I learned in my 41 years, a little short time of living, is that not only do you have to make adjustments, you always have to be aware of what's going on to make the proper adjustments. Sometimes you don't always get it right. That's why adjustments are necessary. And even sometimes when you make the adjustments, you still may not get the win. You may still have to take a loss, but you have to make the adjustment in order to be ready for the next time or the next round of madness that you got to face. One thing I think that a lot of times people don't think about as young black men growing up in the inner city is if you don't have that older male presence in your life, you're not really taught how to make those understand even what adjustments even mean, like the detailed part of making adjustments in life, like understanding you have to be able to accept that what you're doing is not working. I need to make the adjustments, number one. Then number two, what adjustments do you have available to your disposal to make based on circumstance? Then number three is the execution of making the adjustments. That's another thing. You got to be able to execute. So you got to know when to make adjustments, whether in sports, whether in life, whether in the corporate world, whether being a husband, being a leader, being a father. You have to learn how to make adjustments because times change, things change, people change. And sometimes you got to make not to adjust to fold or adjust to give in, but make the adjustments to be better and to be a better leader, a better man, a better individual, even with your flaws and struggles. Because when you watch every team has flaws, every team has struggles. But the teams who win learn how to make the adjustment with their flaws and struggles to win the game. Remember that. Everybody has flaws and struggles, but the people who are successful learn how to make the adjustments despite their flaws and struggles and win the game. So with that being said, last topic, I'm about to get up out of here. Colin Kaepernick is offered a coaching job, I think, with the Chargers with Harbaugh. The question is he still blackballed? And to people who say they don't think that's a real thing, let me tell you that it is a real thing. And most people, I'm going to say about maybe 60% of people may experience being blackballed or being shut out of a certain field or industry. It happens. When I was working at the ISP place, I'm not even gonna say their name, but it don't. What I would say is it don't happen overnight. It can happen by a series of events. Cause I didn't do a lot of things right as well. But the thing that I think that's crazy is if you have good leadership at a company, they are really good at communicating what you can work on, what you can be better at. Bad leadership, in my opinion, they just let you float. They don't tell you, hey, you might need to tighten up on this. Hey, I see you doing this. Maybe you need to tighten up. They don't really. They just kind of let you just go out and play, but not give you any pointers or anything like that. So some of the things that I was doing wrong is when it was dead time, like when things were slower, instead of just staying at my desk, I would go outside, take breaks, take more breaks probably than what I need to take. Just being accountable. That's part of making adjustments. You got to be accountable for the things you do. Couple of personalities got under my skin. I shouldn't have let that happen too. But at the end of the day, what really broke the camel's back for me was when I started as a contractor. They started me out at a certain rate, and they tried to hire me on full time below that rate. And I'm not sure if it offended them that I wouldn't. The thing about being blackballed is you never really know. They never really tell you. They never like upfront and honest about it. But what happens is when you leave or when you try to look for something else, a lot of times within that company, they call the person your subordinate or your manager, and your job is in or your future inside that one company anyway, inside that one company could be based on what your subordinate or manager say or don't say. Are they gonna endorse you or they don't endorse you? What things are being said or what's not being said? Will they even answer the phone for a reference? And one thing I found out when I left is that within that system, if you fill out for another job, the manager would get notification of that. I didn't know that because I was filling out all kind of stuff. Anything I can get my hands on, I was filling out for. And they probably was getting emailed left and right. But it's those things, those little detailed things that you don't know. And what they were saying was, he's trying to get out of here. He's trying to leave. And if they see that, what do you think they going how you think they're gonna view that? That's why I understand sometimes how the game is played. That's why I don't get mad. It's the game. And you can either learn how to make the adjustments and play in the game, or you can just sit around and kind of get mad at the game. But the game is the game. It's not gonna change. It was there before I got there. The way the game was played, it was there before I got there. I didn't make all of the great plays, so some of the plays came back and bit me. You know what I'm saying? So, but I lasted there probably what 3 years, three and some change. It's been a contractor, so I feel like I won out of that deal. I think they wanted me to go full time at one point, but like I said, they tried to offer me maybe like 20 or 30% less than what I was making. I was like, nah, that's a substantial drop. I can go work for the state and make that, and that's kind of almost what I end up doing, actually, to be honest. So, but with Kaepernick, right? Is he still being blackballed? I think he probably is, but I think one thing I would say about I try to tell kids is that minorities, people like me that grew up is you can do whatever you want, however you want, and you can stand on it, but you can't pick what come with it. You have to be able to take what come with it. Win, lose, or draw, blackballed, shutout, however you want to put it. Did he have a right to protest? Yes, he did. Did they do some stuff that was shady? Yes. Both sides was wrong. But one thing, when you make a chess move, you have to understand everything that's gonna come with that one chess move. One move can send shockwaves. It can cause a domino effect of things that happen. A lot of moves that can happen after that. And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying he's right or wrong. What I'm saying is, you have to be able to take everything in totality that comes with a choice. You can't say because I made this choice, I don't deserve what come with it. Because as a minority male, a lot of times, like I say, what you don't know can hurt you, and you have to be able to learn and figure out the things through trial and error. That's what most minorities go through, trial and error. I tried this, boy, a lot of stuff came with it I probably didn't like, but the game is the game. There's nothing I can do about it. It's the game. A lot of times, what I tell people is, for me anyway, I had to keep moving and not allow bitterness to set up in me as an individual. Not allow that to make me insecure. And look, man, growing up in the inner city, man, you go through too much to be insecure, and through the help of God, you learn how not to be bitter about situation, about losses. Sometimes you got to take a loss, man. It's just kind of how it go. I wish I could tell you that you don't have to ever take losses in life, but sometimes they happen. Even the best teams take a loss. But it's about how you bounce back and how do you rebound from a loss. So when I left that place, I had to go through some lumps, sure. But I kept moving. I didn't stop moving. And a lot of people would ask me or say, why didn't I get the, I think it was the CCNA, Cisco? It was because I just didn't see the value of really going all the way in actual networking, because it's not that many ISP places in Little Rock. So I had to realize that within myself. I'm probably not going to get that far in that company based on the events that happened. And I'm not bitter about it. I'm not mad about it. I learned about it and I moved accordingly, according to that. And I'll say this, most jobs, it's not about the job per se, it's the personalities. It's the personality culture that exists in that job. And a lot of times it's not based on your skill, even though you can be great at what you do. So a lot of times it's based on connections and who you know, um, cultures and groups and cliques and stuff like that. And a person like me, I was more kind of like a Wolverine, man. Like I really didn't really get involved with the cliques like that. Not really my thing. I'm not a brown noser. That ain't definitely not my thing. I'm more, hey, show me how to do the job. Let me learn the job and let me do my thing. But that's not always conducive to every work environment. Some work environments are very political, bureaucratic. Who you roll with? Are you rolling with the team? You rolling by yourself? And when you roll by yourself, you have to be that good to roll by yourself and not be a part of the clique. Because some people that are part of the clique, they're really not that good. They using being a part of the clique to kind of extend their job a little bit longer until they really have to show their skill. But when you're great, you can stand on your own 2 feet and not be a part of the clique because your skill will speak for itself. But you have to be that tight on dotting your I's and T's because you're not a part of the clique and you don't get a lot of leeway. Your margin for error is way smaller than somebody who rolled with the clique. I guess is what I'm trying to say. But being blackballed is a real thing. It can happen. But what I would say is you got to keep moving. Sometimes you just have to go to another place where you'll find where you appreciate it and use that as a learning experience. And don't let bitterness set up in you. That's the most important thing, is not allowing bitterness and not allowing insecurities to come from losses. Learn from it, build your confidence from it, and understand you learn more from your losses than you do your wins. This is Mike. I'm signing out. Thanks for watching CTM Sports. I hope everybody have a great Labor Day tomorrow. And this is Mike, and I'm signing out.